Welcome back to Power and Politics. Well, it's the end of the parliamentary season, and Scott Reid and Jaime Watt have some thoughts about that. They always have thoughts. In fact, they want to hand out some end-of-season awards to some MPs. So here they are with this special awards edition of Point of Order.
Thanks, Evan. Well, Hollywood has the Oscars. Schlock Hollywood has the Razzies, and here at Point of Order, and the session is over. We have our own set of awards.
The Pointers.
The Pointers, as in sisters, and I'm so excited. All right, so first up, our first award, a Point of Order here, the award for the MP that you would most like to share a beer with. Jaime, who's your pick?
Well, the rules are I say I have to share a beer with. So I didn't have to share a beer. I picked my buddy John Baird, but as you know, with John, it'd have to be a plucky Chardonnay. So since it has to be a beer, I'm going to pick the member for Toronto Danforth, Jack Layton. I think that he'd be a great guy to have a beer with. I got 3 reasons for that, Scott.
All right, let's hear
First reason, he's got a terrific mustache. Second reason, listen, this guy's taken the NDP from Nowheresville to Ed Broadbent territory. He's got a seat in Quebec. I'm hearing whispers of Prime Minister Layton.
Oh,
I'd like to be the
I think
first
you have
guy,
been drinking.
I'd like to be the first guy that had a beer with the next leader of the Liberal Party of Canada. And finally, I'd like to have a beer with him because I think after a couple of beers, he'd tell me exactly what he thinks of Libby Davis.
All right, yeah, you're about as funny as a stale beer. All right, I'm going to pick 2 because, as you know, I like my beer. I can't just stop at 1. The first person is Mark Holland, the Liberal MP from Ajax. This is the guy that blew the lid off this fake lake controversy, the debacle. You know, the thing I like about Mark is when you look around at what's happening in Parliament these days and where the Liberal Party stands, he's a Liberal who's got balls, and I like to see it. So let's have a cold one, Mark. The second person, Glenn Pearson, also a Liberal member of Parliament, but you know what? He's a complete class act, and that's why I'm suggesting Glenn. And I don't know if you heard Alison Crawford's piece on the House a couple weeks ago talking about him coming to the defense of Conservative MPs. I wish we had more people like him in Parliament.
I know Glenn from London, and you're right, he is a class act. So now we've drunk the beer. We've got a couple of empty beer bottles left over. So the next Pointer Award goes to which MP, Scott, would you like to take that bottle and heave at?
Well, as you know, I always like to recycle my beer bottles, but I'll make an exception for television. I think that the beer bottle deserves to be tossed, not just at a single MP, but at the entire Board of Internal Economy. I mean, these guys, you know, to me, brought such disrepute upon Parliament, and so unnecessarily so. First of all, I think they genuinely misunderstood what the Auditor General was suggesting. She wasn't asking for a line-by-line MP's review of their expenses, but by freaking out at the very notion, I think they literally created a nationwide issue. Obviously, they're
on the wrong side of.
Well, which they were terribly on the wrong side of. They tried to hide, they tried to duck, and they couldn't. And the coalition and the consensus fell apart. Yeah. And as a consequence, there they were looking foolish. So that's my choice. The Board of Internal Economy deserves a great big old Labatt's right across the front yard.
Well, I don't have a bottle of Labatt's, but I do have a bottle of Pouilly-Fuissé, and I'm sure you can guess who that's going to go being targeted at. But you know, poor Michael Ignatieff, the guy that can't shoot straight. I don't even know if he knows enough to duck. Of course, his friends, you know, they're not exactly used to having things thrown at them. They're more of the prance and slap set than anything else.
You,
but I got to tell you, I got
tough guy. Yeah, you just came from the Legion, right?
I did.
Yeah.
This guy,
Right
though, if he didn't have bad luck, he wouldn't have any luck at all. You know, and we've watched him, Scott. We've talked about it week after week. We've watched him week after week try and get it right, try and get that 2-car funeral parade going in the right direction, and now he's come to the session. He's no better shape than he was in the beginning. So he gets my bottle of Pouilly-Fuissé.
Ah, buddy, come on. All right, now the next award, the John Edwards Grimm Moment of the Season. Jaime, who gets the pointer?
Tell you who gets the pointer, and you and I are going to disagree on this one. And you know, we've been funny for a few minutes, but this is not funny.
Very funny.
The lowest moment this year was when people play partisan political nonsense with sensitive documents that were matters of secrecy and matters of state. You know, we're in the middle of a war, and some war criminals don't get milk and cookies.
Every sin?
Don't get milk and cookies before bedtime.
There's no
You're going to get all worked up about it. I think it was a disgrace. How much money did we spend chasing after soldiers, chasing after commanders who are valiantly serving the Canadian people, the Gatti people?
Wrap yourself.
I'll tell you, it's a shameful exercise.
Do not wrap yourself in the uniform of the armed forces.
The grimmest moment of the season.
No, you don't deserve it. You don't deserve the uniform of the armed forces. Don't hide behind their good work and their good courage. All right, mine Grim Moment of the Season award goes to that paragon of parliamentary virtue and journalistic ethics, Mike Duffy. Now, as you know,
I've been waiting for that.
I love the Duffy, but when it comes to like spectacular shamelessness, with faux videos and interviews with the Prime Minister, his crisscrossing the country on behalf of the Conservative Party, and then having the nerve to get angry when people call him on his partisan nonsense, I just think that Mike sets a new standard for shamelessness and a lack of dignity in Parliament. His transition from journalism to politics has been absolutely seamless. In his case, it has been seamless. And so he gets the John Edwards Grim Moment pointer. So,
Scott, we're going to finish our pointer awards on a high note. Blackhawks took the cup, so our last award is for the Blackhawk moment of the session. Scott, who gets it?
Well, I'll tell you, my Bobby Hull, Governor General Michaëlle Jean. And you know, she gets it not just for the unbelievable work of this session, and not even for this past year, but because this is probably the last session that she's going to be serving as Governor General, she gets it for her entire tenure. I mean, this is a woman who has set a new standard for class and dignity in the post of our Vice Regal. I mean, whether it's, you know, having the courage and the pluck to go up north and to eat that raw seal meat, whether it's the unbelievably emotional and touching way that she responded to the tragedy in Haiti, she's just made Canadians from coast to coast to coast feel proud. And you know, this Prime Minister made the job tough on her. She had to set some constitutional precedents with decisions she had to take around prorogation. She conducted herself with measure, with brilliance, and with dignity always, so she gets the award.
Well, Blackhawks winning the Stanley Cup puts me in mind of comebacks. The comeback that I have to win the award is Jean Chrétien. The hanging of his portrait on Parliament Hill was a 2-for-1 event. They hung the portrait, and he launched his leadership campaign once again. In one 10-minute speech, Scott, the guy got more headlines and more media than Ignatieff's got in 18 months of service. You know, he's triggered all those young Liberals to rise up and to cause more trouble than Bob Ray and a bunch of the others has ever even thought about. So I think that the award goes to him. Good on you, Prime Minister. But, you know, just like the Blackhawks, no one wants this team to win. So I think it's a bit of a stillborn deal.
Yeah, no. When a Conservative starts endorsing a former Liberal Prime Minister, you know that something's foul. I'm not going to. A blind roofer wouldn't fall for that argument. All right, that's it for Point of Order for not just this week, but for this session. We're going to head on off to the Fake Lake, grab ourselves a couple of cold ones, and celebrate the Pointers in fine order. We'll be sending the tab to good old Tony Clement up there in Muskoka. Thanks. We'll see you soon, Evan.
Evan, we'll see you in the fall.
Well, thanks, boys, for a great sitting of Point of Order. One pointy here. This one to Jamie Watt for pulling out a wine reference that I had no clue about. Poulet Foussé. What the heck was that? About 2 people on our staff knew what that was. It's some kind of white wine. What is it? Poulet Foussé. You can see. Anyway, I got the beer reference there. All right, you can catch Power and Politics. The boys are taking a break. We are not. We'll be here all summer, and we'll be covering all the politics you need to know every day right here on CBCNN. Up next.